Before I came to A Mother's Hope, I was in a really dark place. I was addicted to Adderall. I was self-harming. My mental health, the depression, the anxiety, everything just was in complete control of my life. And it got to the point where I didn't want to live anymore. I ended up overdosing, and it was to the point that it was so severe that I was in a coma. And then it was coming out of that, I was told that I had miscarried. I did not want to continue, and the fact that I had miscarried just put me in an even darker place. I was sent to a kind of like a treatment rehab facility. It was there that they noticed that my HCG levels were still rising. They did an ultrasound and found out that I was still pregnant. In my mind, it was not if I attempt suicide again, it was a when. When do I attempt suicide again? It was a when will I get the chance? How much longer can I play this off until I reach that point again? And the only reason that was keeping me going was the fact that I was pregnant. Even after my initial overdose and me being in a coma, that if the little baby inside of me had fought through all of that he deserved a chance. Because if he wanted to live through all of that, who am I to take that away from him? And so when I first got here, it was more like, okay, well, after I have him, if I have him, then maybe I'll end my life. I remember being terrified. As you're like pulling in, you're like, okay, new place, very pessimistic point of view, like, okay, this isn't gonna work out. I'm just gonna crash here. I remember walking up. I do remember opening the front door, and I remember Joy looked at me and said, "Welcome home." That was a moment of, oh, this isn't a treatment facility. This isn't some intense rehab. This isn't, just another place. This is home. And then coming here and learning about Christ. And I think one of the ways that I learned that so much is the staff being amazing examples of Christian women, and just seeing what they had, this inner joy that they had. At that point, I didn't really know what they had. I just knew I wanted it. I knew I wanted that peace, that joy, that love that they were showing me. It was hard work. I was not easy to overcome some of those battles. I was not an easy resident to help through some of those battles at times, but just the love and the amount of patience that staff had with me during those times, and the second and third and 50th chances that they were giving me, it really taught me that I can overcome my mental health. And learning more about God and who He was and who I am in His eyes, and just learning that my mental health doesn't define me. Once I kind of had that under my belt, I really started investing in therapy and investing in making sure that my medications were at a good point and that I was taking them, and learning different coping mechanisms. And one of those coping mechanisms would be relying on Christ. And when I'm having a bad day, listening to Christian music or reading my Bible, or just finding my worth in Christ was a huge part of that, because then I didn't want to self-harm anymore, and I did want to start getting better, and I did want to start investing in a future for myself and for my son. So it was no longer, I don't care if I live tomorrow kind of thing. It was I'm struggling with these emotions, but tomorrow can be better. I have been in treatment programs before. Oh, you do your treatment, you do your plan, you leave. And I think the one thing about A Mother's Hope is that's different is it's Christ-based. And so when you leave here, it's not just, oh, you leave, you're back into the world. When I left here, I still had that relationship with Christ. I still had that relationship with Christ-centered staff. I have been able to not go back to my old ways since I left, and being able to raise my son now in a Christ-based home and just teaching him everything that I was taught while I was here. It's a life-changing program, and you're making an impact when you support A Mother's Hope, not just changing the life of a mother who, like for me, came out of addiction, came out of suicidal thinking, overcame my mental health and so much, but it's made a lasting impact on my son as well. And it'll be life-changing for his children as well. Because if it weren't for A Mother's Hope, I don't think Asher and I would be here, but I definitely don't think that if we were here that he would be raised in a Christian home. When you have Christ at the center of something, it's not just change, it's a complete transformation, and that's what A Mother's Hope was for me. Not only did that impact my life, but that impacted my son's life. And now he's able to be raised in a Christian-based home, and it'll be generational. So it's a generational transformation that is now being impacted because of the support given to A Mother's Hope.